Elias Thorne sat on the porch of his weathered ranch house, a thin layer of dust coating his boots, the wind tugging at the edges of his duster like a restless spirit. He had not seen a soul in days, only the distant cry of coyotes and the scrape of tumbleweed over dry soil. The scar beneath his left eye itched under the relentless sun, a small reminder of battles fought long ago. He breathed the scent of scorched grass and sun-baked earth, letting the quiet settle around him. It was a silence he had come to know intimately, one that carried the weight of all he'd lost, all he'd tried to forget. Then came the voices. Soft, yet sharp against the low whistle of the wind. "We came to have sex with you," said one, and the words, carried on the heat-thick air, made him straighten, hand resting on the worn butt of his rifle. His first thought was disbelief. His second, sharper, more practical, whoever spoke, they were coming closer. He squinted down the road and saw 4 women emerging through the dust haze. Their horses moved steadily, unhurried, yet confident, each step deliberate. They were the Vale sisters. Elias had heard rumors in the towns, whispers of a family that survived on cunning, skill, and sheer will. But rumors did not prepare a man for the sight of them standing, all together, in the sun-drenched heat, their gazes unwavering. Saren led the line, angular cheekbones catching the gold of late afternoon. Her eyes, amber and deliberate, flicked over him as if weighing him, measuring the scars and sinew beneath the sun-stained fabric of his coat. Behind her, Marin, tall and broad, carried a quiet strength in the way she held herself, hands twitching near leather wrist-guards, ready. Lyra, the delicate spark, seemed to hover at the edge of them, her chestnut hair loose and shifting with the breeze. And Ivy, pale, fragile at first glance, rode silently at the back, a sling wrapped over her injured side. Elias exhaled slowly, hand easing off his rifle. He recognized something deeper than bravado in them. Each sister carried survival like a second skin. Each had known loss. They could be dangerous. And yet, he felt a flicker of something softer, something human, even tender. "What brings you this far, through the sun and dust?" His voice, rough and low, cut through the stillness. Saren stepped forward, her posture straight, authoritative. "We need a place to rest. A safe one. For a few days." She paused, eyes flicking toward the horizon. "And someone to trust." Elias let out a dry chuckle. "Trust's a currency I don't spend lightly." Marin's brow furrowed. "Neither do we. But the choice isn't ours alone." Her voice carried the weight of responsibility, a shield that had borne too many burdens for someone so young. Lyra moved a little closer, delicate hands brushing the reins. "We can help. We're good at what we do." Her tone suggested a hidden ferocity beneath gentleness, a quiet courage that could be deadly if tested. Elias studied them, each line of muscle, each subtle scar. He saw what they thought he would see, a lonely, haunted veteran, a man hardened by blood and loss. But he also saw what they would not, the depth of care he still carried, the remnants of a life that had not yet entirely hardened. "You ride hard," he said finally, tipping his hat back. "Come in. Horses can drink at the trough." Night fell over the ranch slowly, dragging with it shadows that pooled beneath the lanterns. The sisters moved inside, settling quietly, their movements careful and deliberate. Ivy leaned back against a wall, her head tilting as if she were absorbing every detail, every creak and shift of the old house. Lyra lit a small fire in the stove, the flame flickering across her soft features. Saren and Marin took stock of the supplies, murmuring to one another in low tones. Elias poured whiskey into glasses, offering them to the sisters. "This'll keep the chill off." The youngest accepted it with a nod, lips brushing the rim, eyes wide and wary. Hours passed with quiet conversation. The sisters spoke of the trails, of men like Briggs Malvin who roamed the territories like predators, and of the dangers that shadowed their every step. Elias listened, offering advice when asked, and occasionally, a story of a campaign long ago, of friends lost, of battles where courage was the only currency. Then came the first hint of real danger. Boots on wood, heavy and deliberate. The sound echoed through the ranch, drawing a low hiss from Elias's throat. Through the window, he saw a hulking figure, Briggs Malvin, massive, cruel, moving like an avalanche. His eyes, pale and cold, scanned the house as if weighing the worth of every life inside. "Stay calm," Elias whispered, barely moving. He tipped the chair back and grabbed his rifle. The sisters tensed, each ready to protect, each ready to fight. Briggs pushed the door open with a grunt, boots scraping against floorboards. "Elias Thorne," he said, voice like gravel and steel. "Been looking for you. Time to pay old debts." Elias stood slowly, letting the rifle rest lightly in his hands. "You've come far, Briggs. Might be further than you should have." The confrontation was brutal in its simplicity. Elias moved with the ease of a man used to survival, each shot deliberate. Marin and Saren took positions behind the few pieces of sturdy furniture, flanking the doorway. Lyra darted between shadows, a whisper of motion. Ivy, fragile as she seemed, carried water and supplies, ready to aid. Briggs advanced, massive fists swinging. Dust, blood, and grit filled the air, the sound of struggle punctuated by splintering wood and harsh cries. When it ended, Briggs lay groaning, defeated, and Elias breathed deep, sweat and dust coating him. The sisters gathered close, hands brushing his shoulder, his arm, steadying, grounding. Silence fell again, deeper than before, but now infused with something warmer. The fire crackled low, amber light spilling across tired faces. Lyra poured another cup of whiskey, offering it to Elias. "You did right," she said softly, her voice a balm. Saren looked at him with eyes that had weighed everything in the world and still found hope. Sometimes protection isn't just about holding a rifle. Sometimes it's about letting someone in. Elias felt a long-held tension begin to ease, the weight of solitude shifting, if only slightly. Marin rested her hand on his shoulder briefly, solid, unyielding. Ivy leaned against him as if seeking strength, yet giving it in return through quiet presence. In the following days, the ranch became more than a refuge. Work had to be done. Horses needed tending. The sun rose over dust-choked trails, and the sisters moved in rhythm with the chores, their presence a steady hum of life. Conversation flowed easily now, laughter mixing with the sighing of wind through dry brush. Elias shared skills in riding, in gun handling, in tending wounds. The sisters shared survival knowledge, their stories weaving into his own, forming a tapestry of mutual respect and understanding. And somewhere between moments of danger and quiet labor, human warmth seeped through. Elias saw Lyra's hands steady when mending torn clothing. He saw Marin's silent strength lift fallen beams without complaint. Saren's watchful eyes never left the horizon, yet softened when meeting his. Ivy's frailty belied a heart that refused to break under suffering. Each sister, flawed, human, alive, brought pieces of life he had thought lost. Weeks passed. The Vale sisters' stay lengthened, their presence altering the rhythm of the ranch. And when they finally prepared to leave, Elias stood at the gate, sun dipping low, painting the world in gold and crimson. Saren clasped his hand briefly. "Thank you. For letting us in. For teaching us something we needed more than we knew." Marin nodded once, gravely. "Be careful, Thorn. The world outside is unforgiving, but you're worth protecting." Lyra, delicate but fierce, leaned close. "Don't forget us. And don't lose yourself." Ivy's pale face held a faint smile, fragile yet strong. "We'll survive. And so will you." They mounted their horses, dust rising as they rode into the distance. Elias watched, feeling a strange combination of loss and hope. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of smoke and earth, the sound of boots fading into the horizon. And for the first time in many years, he felt the possibility of something more than survival: connection, trust, a chance at quiet redemption. He turned back to the ranch, hands brushing the worn wood of the porch. Life here was still harsh. The West was still unforgiving. But now he was no longer entirely alone. The Vale sisters had left their mark, not just on the land, but on him, shaping him gently, insistently, toward a life with more than just dust and scars. The night settled over the plains, stars glimmering faintly through the thinning clouds. The coyotes called again, but their cries were no longer a solitary echo, they were part of a larger chorus, one that included the heartbeat of resilience, courage, and shared humanity. Elias Thorn inhaled the cool, night air. He felt it in his bones. There was still warmth in this world. Still hope. Still the possibility of love, of forgiveness, of being seen and choosing to see in return. And in that vast open landscape, with the firelight fading behind him and the wind carrying the memory of those four sisters, Elias knew that the West could be cruel, yes, but it could also heal, if only a man let it.